Hey y'all, I know there are hundreds, if not thousands of you out there right now who are struggling to buy a home in Las Vegas because it's such a hot seller's market. If that's you, then this is the video that you need to be watching right now. In this video, I'm gonna go over my best tips and tactics for getting your offers accepted in the Las Vegas real estate market immediately. This video is gonna be all about how to buy a home in Las Vegas, the fastest, best, cheapest ways to get your offers accepted so you can get into that new Las Vegas dream home. Like I said, guys, I know there are a ton of you out there who are struggling with this. That's why I made this video. And really, that's what you need. You need tips and tactics from a professional, experienced realtor like myself. So if this is something that interests you guys, please stay tuned because we're getting after it right now. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Tom Radacci here in Las Vegas with Tom Radacci Real Estate. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about Las Vegas, about living in Las Vegas, eating in Las Vegas real estate, neighborhoods, all that stuff, we cover it all right here on my channel. I absolutely love hearing from you guys after you watch my videos because my goal is to help you to move here as fast, as efficiently, and as cheap as possible. So if that's interesting to you, please guys, go down below this video, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and make sure you click that notification bell so you get notified every time I come out with a new video because I don't want you to miss anything. I don't want you to miss anything. So let's get to it, guys. This video is gonna be all about how to buy a home right now in Las Vegas. So some backstory, y'all. I'm sure a ton of you out there are know about the hot real estate market all across the country, and it's especially hot in Las Vegas right now. There's probably hundreds of you, if not thousands of you buyers out there who cannot get their offers accepted because there's so much competition. And you can totally buy a home in Las Vegas right now. It's totally possible, but there is quite a bit of competition. And that's why I made this video, to help you buyers get your offers accepted, because so many people move into Las Vegas and so many people need this help. So guys, if you didn't already know, I am a realtor in Las Vegas. This is my professional advice, the best tips and tactics I have to get your offers accepted. So if that's something interesting to you, please continue to watch this video. And if you need help buying in Las Vegas, if you're moving here, relocating here, my contact information should be on the screen, but it also should be down below this video. So you can check that out and hook me up if you want to learn more. All right, guys, let's get right into it. The first thing we got to talk about is getting pre-qualified for a loan. Excuse me, pre-approved. You want to get pre-approved for a loan. Now, I know this does not apply to my cash buyers, and we'll talk about cash buyers later, but if you're buying a house in Las Vegas and you're going to need a loan to do it, and the first thing you want to do is get pre-approved for that loan. And the reason you want to do that first is because homes are selling really, really quickly. So if you wait, if you start looking for homes first, by the time you find a list of homes that you like and then go get pre-approved, more than likely those homes are going to be sold, or they're already going to have offers that you're going to be competing on, and that's not what you want, guys. You want to be ready to make that offer as soon as you find your dream home. So that's step one. Find a local lender, or really any lender that you like, any lender that has good terms that you agree with. You can totally shop around for a lender. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do shop around for a lender. And if you need recommendations, I can give you some, or if you have your own realtor in Las Vegas, then I'm sure that I can give you some good lender recommendations as well. But that's the step number one, guys. Get pre-approved and really know your budget before you start looking for homes in Las Vegas. All right, y'all, the second step to buying a home in Las Vegas right now is to know what to expect of the market. Now, if you have a good realtor, if you watch the news, you can read about it online or on the TV, you're gonna know that the Las Vegas market right now is very hot. It's a pretty hot seller's market, which means homes are selling quickly and they're selling for pretty much the list price, if not a little bit over the list price, or asking price as it's somewhat called. So you need to know what to expect before you get into the market to look for homes. And this is important because if you don't get your first offer accepted or your second offer accepted, you know, you want to know ahead of time that that is a possibility, right? So that when that happens, if that happens, you don't get too disappointed, because you don't want that disappointment to lead to you basically giving up the search, right? You want to know what you're getting yourself into so that you can set good expectations about getting your offers accepted. The next thing you got to do, guys, if you want to get your offers accepted, is be as flexible as possible when it comes to searching for homes. Now, I would never, ever recommend that you buy a home that you're not in love with. But, you know, guys, I've personally experienced when I've bought my homes, I'm in my second home at this point, I've personally experienced this where, you know, you think you need 3 bedrooms and 3 baths, and you need a loft, and you need this, and you need that. And I'm guilty of this, guys. I'm totally guilty as everyone else, if not more guilty. You think you know what you want, you think you know what you need, but what's really gonna help you in this hot seller's market is being flexible. So maybe you want 4 bedrooms, but you really only need 3 bedrooms and a loft. Or maybe you really want 3 full baths, but you can get away with a 2.5 bath, or maybe just a 2 bath home. Then there's things like lot size, there's the location, there's the HOA fee, and then you can get so specific or non-specific depending on your criteria. But I really do recommend y'all be as flexible as you can when it comes to searching for homes. And that's going to give you an advantage, because it's going to give you more homes to see. It's going to give you more possibilities, and the more possibilities you have, that means the more homes you can put offers in on. The more homes you can put solid offers in, then the more likely that you're going to get an offer accepted. And like I said, don't go putting offers on homes that you don't totally love, that you're not totally happy with, but cast a wide net, as wide as you can, and just be flexible with those criteria. Understand that it is a hot market, and the more flexible you can be, the more likely that you're going to be able to buy a home. Now, the next tip, y'all, actually comes from a quote that I heard, where a quote is a great way of opening this conversation. If you can't beat the price, beat the terms. So there are a ton of terms that go into a real estate contract. The contingency terms about how long the buyer has to do this, how long the seller has to do that sort of term. If you can't beat the price because someone's offering more than you can offer, more than you can afford, try to beat their terms. The first way to beat the terms is to close the deal as fast as possible. So typically, once your offer is accepted by the seller, you're gonna close in about 30, 35 days, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. That's pretty typical. Sellers want to close as fast as possible because they want that money in their pocket as fast as possible. So if you can offer to close on that home faster than the other people who have offered, then that might be enough to sway the seller. Now, super important tip, guys, super important tip. If you are not a cash buyer, so if you're using a mortgage, you need to speak with your lender before you put this in writing and submit it to the seller. Because once you submit that offer, that closing time period really doesn't have much to do with you. It has to do with the lender, it has to do with title, it has to do with how fast inspectors and can get things done, but it does have a lot to do with the lender because they order a lot of those things and they're responsible for a lot of those things. So make sure you talk with your lender, get your realtor to talk with your lender, and get it in writing. Get it in writing that your lender will close by X day or X number of days from the acceptance of the offer. Got to get that in writing, otherwise it's just hearsay and the sellers aren't going to take it seriously. You can take this one step further, where if you get a guarantee in writing from your lender saying they will close on a specific day, you can write basically a penalty into the contract for yourself, something along the lines of, hey, seller, if we don't close by, whatever, we'll just say June 1st. If we don't close by June 1st, every day after June 1st, we will pay you $200 until the closing date. And maybe, if you're a really good negotiator, you'll actually get the lender to pay that if you don't close on time, or whoever's fault it is that you didn't close on time. So that is one of my first ways, guys, that you can try to beat the terms. instead of beating the price. The second way you can try to beat the terms is right up front. You can offer more earnest money than the other people are offering on their earners. So if you don't already know, an earnest money deposit is a deposit you put down on the home that just is basically a measure of your seriousness, right? If you put a $10,000 earnest deposit on and 15 days into the contract, you decide, I absolutely don't want to be in this contract as the buyer, and there's really no legitimate reason for you to say that, or there's no more contingencies in place to get you out of the contract free and clear, then that seller will take that earnest money deposit as basically payment for you using up 15 days of their time. So the more earnest money you put down basically shows that you're a more serious buyer and that you're more serious about buying this home than the other buyers are. So if you can afford it, guys, I do recommend you put pretty much as much earnest money down as you can in this hot market. Like I said, it just makes your offer look more serious than the other people's offers. Now, there's a risk, right? If something goes wrong and it turns out to be your fault, then there's risk that you will lose that earnest money and then it will go to the seller. But if everything goes right, then that earnest money just gets applied as your down payment towards your closing costs, or however you wrote into the contract that that earnest money would be used. So guys, that's definitely a way you can kind of set your offer out and above from the other offers on the table, is offer more earnest money to make yourself look like a more serious buyer. The next thing you can do is offer to pay the seller's closing costs. Now there's a whole slew of closing costs and taxes and different things that you can pay as the buyer. There's only a few that the seller has to pay. So if you want to, if you can afford it, if you really want to get that offer accepted, you can talk to your realtor, talk to me. My contact information is in this video and down below. Talk to me about what fees the seller has to pay, what fees they don't have to pay, and then you can put it, when you put your offer in, you can write into the contract that, hey seller, I'll pay, you know, this fee and that fee and blah, 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 and then the seller won't have to pay it, and that, you know, makes them happy because that's less money out of their pocket. This is a somewhat pretty common thing to do if there's a lot of offers and if the offers are all competing, but as many of these tips and tactics as you can put into place, like that's just gonna set your offer above. So even if it's common, if you do this and you do a few other of the tips and tactics that I suggest, then that will continue to help set your offer above all of the others that are on the table. Next tip, guys, agree to pay X amount of the repair fees up to a certain amount. So I know one thing sellers are looking at right now, sometimes they ask, well, if we, like they'll counter offer on your offer and say, well, you know, we don't want you to have a home inspection, or we don't want to repair anything, or something along those lines. So I would never recommend that a buyer skip out on the home inspection, because if something were wrong, and I'm not saying the seller is lying to you or trying to pull the wool over your eyes or anything like that, but sometimes there can be things wrong with homes that sellers don't know. And if you buy a home and you don't buy a home inspection, or you don't pay for a home inspection beforehand, then it's likely that you're never going to catch any issues. And if you miss a serious issue and you buy the home, then you know you could be in for a really rough ride when you live in the home, and you could end up paying thousands to fix all sorts of issues, like maybe a mold issue or a water leak or a problem with the roof or something else that you didn't know about because you didn't get a home inspection. So I don't recommend that you waive the home inspection. I do recommend, if you're trying to get your offer accepted, you can always say, hey, you know, we want this home inspection, but we will agree to pay, you know, $5,000 of repairs or $10,000 of repairs on the home, depending on if the home inspection finds something. So if the home, basically an example of that, your home inspector comes in, does an inspection and says, hey, there's a problem with the roof and there is a water leak under 3 of the sinks. You know, say that's $3,000 worth of repairs, right? And you agreed to pay up to $5,000 worth of repairs. So in that case, then you would be bringing in contractors, and the contractors would fix everything, and you would agree to pay for that. And then it wouldn't come out of the seller's pocket, thereby saving them money. and making your offer look better. So that's always something you can do, guys. But again, I don't recommend you waive the home inspection because you can miss some serious problems and then you can be out some serious cash later on down the road, and nobody wants to see that happen to you. Next tip, guys, just in general, you want to make your offer as clean as possible. So we'll start with contingencies. So there are a few contingencies, such as an appraisal contingency. There's the home inspection contingency. There's stuff about HOA packets, and all of these contingencies I can go over with you if you want to buy with me, or your realtor can go over with you before you put in an offer. But the less contingencies you have on an offer, the less contingencies you have in that real estate contract to buy that home from the seller, the more clean your offer is going to look. And those contingencies allow you as the buyer to get out of the contract free and clear. The less ways there are for you to get out of the contract, the better. The more appealing the offer will look to the seller. So the more you're willing to give up, the better. I would say the number one and number two biggest things people are giving up right now are the appraisal contingency and the home inspection. So appraisal contingency is basically, if the appraisal comes in low, say you offered $500,000 on a home and it was listed for $500,000. If it appraises for say $450,000, then that appraisal contingency would allow you to rescind your offer, to take it back and to get out of that deal. Whereas if you said, I'm going to waive that appraisal contingency, the offer could come in at $450,000 or anywhere lower, and you would be responsible for making up that difference. Now, it's not exactly that simple, but that's pretty much how it goes. So you could be on the hook for a lot of money, even though you thought going into it, it was a great, straightforward deal. And these kind of things do happen, guys. Your real estate agents, comparative market analysis is not always perfect. The appraisers don't do appraisals like like realtors do analyses. They're two totally different things. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same, and the appraisal can come in low. So before you give up that contingency, give it some serious thought, because you could be on the hook for a lot of money if the appraisal comes in low. One way you can make giving up the appraisal contingency a little safer for you is you can agree to cover a certain amount of gap. So let's go back to that $500,000 example. Say you offer $500,000 on a list price home of $500,000, right? And you're willing to give up the appraisal contingency, but instead of giving it up completely, say, hey, we are willing to pay $20,000 in cash, or up to $20,000 in cash if the appraisal comes in low. So then say the home appraises for $490,000 instead of $500,000, then you'll be responsible for that $10,000 difference in the appraisal versus the list price of the home, right? Because the lender is only going to lend you the amount of money up to the appraised value of the home. And this protects you because say on that $500,000 home, it appraised for $450,000. Well, you only agreed to basically fill that $20,000 gap. And since it's a $50,000 gap, well, then that's going to let you out of the deal because you never agreed to that in your initial offer. So that's one way you can give up the appraisal contingency, but still secure a little more safety for yourself. But this only works if you have those funds on hand and available, which not everyone does. But if you do, it can make your offer look more acceptable and set it above the rest. The final tip, guys, is probably the most obvious tip, and it's just to offer more money. The best way, always the best way, to beat the other people's offers is to offer more money on the home. So back to the $500,000 example. If you offer $500,000 and somebody offers $510,000, if you can, offer more. Offer $511,000, offer $515,000, offer $512,000. Or if you're really great, you're going to offer more money than everybody else. Plus, you're going to be using some of the other tips and tactics like giving up contingencies, an appraisal gap, all those sorts of things because the best way to do it, guys, besides offering more money, is to combine these tactics. So if you can afford it, offer more money on that dream home. Now, it's important to remember, if you are getting a mortgage from a lender, the lender is only going to loan you the amount of money up to the appraisal value. So if the home appraises for $500,000, but you offered $525,000, and that's what got accepted by the sellers, you will be responsible for $25,000 in cash. If you can afford it, that's fantastic, but not everyone can. So just make sure you can afford it before you go and offer this, because you could, possibly be on the hook for it. And I would never want to see anyone, especially one of my buyers, get into a bad deal like that, because then it just gets messy. And there's litigation, and you could lose your earnest money. All sorts of things could happen, all sorts of bad things. So guys, that is my warning to you before we're done with this video. Before you start using any of these tactics, make sure you understand how they can affect you, how they can affect your deal, and how you can get out of the deal if something goes wrong. If you start giving up contingencies, if you start giving up those protections that keep you safe in this contract, because most real estate contracts are really written to protect the buyer because they're the ones paying. You start giving those contingencies up, you better know what you're giving up, what that really means, and what's left there to protect you, and how you can still get out of the contract. Because I don't want to see anybody get in a bad deal because they're trying to get their dream home and they give up too many protections. So make sure before you do anything crazy, guys, you talk to your realtor, you talk to me, you talk to somebody who's qualified to give you advice on what you should and should not be giving up. And when you do give something up, what's still there to protect you, and how do you get out of a bad deal? All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, if you got some value from it, please like this video down below, subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button, or excuse me, the notification bell, so you get notified every time I put out a new video. Guys, it means so much to me if you like my videos. It really helps me out when you hit that subscribe and like button. I love putting out these videos for y'all. Really, my passion is helping people move to Las Vegas. So many people are moving to the beautiful state of Nevada, and so many thousands of those people are moving to Las Vegas. It is a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to raise a family. It's a gorgeous city. And I know if you're moving here, if you're thinking about moving here, you're absolutely going to love it. So please keep checking out my channel. It's all about Las Vegas, living in Las Vegas, moving to Las Vegas. And if you are relocating to Las Vegas, maybe you're moving here because of the military, or you're moving here to raise a family or a new job, since Las Vegas is coming back now that COVID is kind of ended, please, please, please reach out to me. My contact information is down below. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I'm always available for you guys. And I promise you, I will have your back if you're moving to Las Vegas. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I will see you soon. Have a wonderful day.